Welcome to Isla Nublar, Jurassic World. In the previous episode, we saw the creation of the genetics testing facility. But in today's video, we will instead be giving a tour of Jurassic World in its entirety. It's been a while since Jurassic World began, and so much has changed over the years. So we believe it's necessary to give everyone a tour of the park to see where it stands today. Stepping through the main entrance, we enter Jurassic World's main street. Greeting us are a set of amenities, and above our heads is a monorail track. We take a few steps forward only to turn left and enter the staff facilities. In front of us is the control center, where all major decisions are made. Nearby we have a few staff centers and a research center. Here scientists come together to create new dinosaur species. Once their job is finished, work is transferred to the Hammond Creation Lab, where the dinosaurs are bred and released into a holding pen. Leaving the staff facilities, we return to Main Street and continue down the path for a bit. Our first stop on Main Street would be the first dinosaur enclosure ever created, that being the Triceratops and the Parasaurolophus enclosure. Inside the enclosure are the aforementioned species, the Triceratops and the Parasaurolophus. These are some of the oldest dinosaurs on the island. We return to Main Street and continue down the pathway, eventually coming to a diverging path, going down the new pathway where it first met with another dinosaur enclosure. This enclosure is home to the Edmontosaurus and the Stegosaurus. Continuing down the path, we take a right turn and find ourselves at a small guest plaza which is decorated with two skeleton statues of a Tyrannosaurus Rex and an Alamosaurus. Passing by the plaza, we continue down the path until we're met with the monorail station. The monorail takes guests all over the park, making transportation easy across vast distances. Passing by another guest plaza, we come face to face with a viewing platform. This platform overlooks one of Jurassic World's largest enclosures. This enclosure is home of the Brachiosaurus and the Gallimimus, some of the biggest and smallest dinosaurs in the park. Going back down the pathway, we take another turn and continue, eventually reaching another guest plaza. Nearby is another herbivore enclosure, this one being the home to the Pachycephalosaurus and the Sticky Moloch. Continuing down the path and passing by some hotels, we reach a rather large section of the guest plaza. There are some more mixed herbivore enclosures here. In one enclosure, we see the Strichosaurus and the Sauropelta. Going across the plaza, we see another enclosure, this one being home to the Sinoceratops and the Amargasaurus. After that short detour, we return to Main Street, only to turn down another branching pathway. Here we enter the carnivore section of Jurassic World. The first species we come across here are the Baryonyx and the Suchomimus. Next we have the Carnotaurus enclosure, home to Toro, the Carno Alpha. After that we have the Dilophosaurus enclosure. These dinosaurs are terrifying in their own right, but when they're not hunting for their next meal, these creatures are truly mesmerizing. After that, we have the Ceratosaurus enclosure. The Ceratosaurus was actually a species from Isla Sorna that was recreated here on Nublar by lead scientist Dr. Henry Wu. Up next, we have the Allosaurus, one of the more popular carnivores here in Jurassic World. Returning to Main Street, we continue down the pathway until we reach our next diverging path. Going down it, we come across Jurassic World's star attraction. The Tyrannosaurus Rex, or Rexy, as the fans called her. Continuing down the path, we reach our next destination, the Velociraptor enclosure. This species was from Jurassic Park, but after it fell, the species went extinct. Dr. Wu revived the species for Jurassic World. There's another viewing gallery at the end of the pathway, but we will be coming back to it fairly soon. We return to Main Street, only to take another branching path. We enter a large guest plaza. Many dinosaur statues, resting spots, and even a memorial statue dedicated to John Hammond himself. Continuing down the path, we come across a large hotel surrounded by a dinosaur enclosure. The enclosure holds the Monolophosaurus, a small carnivorous dinosaur. We return to Main Street one last time and reach the end of it. At the end of Main Street lies the Innovation Center, the center of Jurassic World. Going through the Innovation Center, we come across a three-way split in the path. Going down the path, labeled Aviary, the first enclosure we come across isn't the aviary itself, but rather another dinosaur enclosure. This enclosure is home to the rather unfortunate creature known as the Archaeowar Nithominus, labeled Jurassic World's least rated dinosaur. Continuing down the path, we reach a guest plaza with various grass plots. Each plot contains dinosaur statues and tells its own mini story. Continuing down the path in front of us, we reach our first aviary, which is home to the Pterodon and the Dimorphodon. In the second aviary, we see the Geosternbergia and the Tropiognathus, two of the largest flying reptiles in Jurassic World. Returning to the original diverging paths, we now take the path labeled Lagoon and walk down it. Passing by some amenities, we first come across a water park, where guests can have fun while also taking in the area's main attractions. Speaking of main attractions, it's time we show you Jurassic World's one and only aquatic species. At first, you may not see it when it is above the water. However, these lagoon viewing platforms can descend, allowing guests to get a better view of the star creature, the Mosasaurus. Nearby the Mosasaurus Lagoon is this horrible creature known as the Deinonychus. Its horrible design was a byproduct of Dr. Wu's rushed work, and even he considered it to be sloppy work of his. Returning to the three-way paths, we take the forward path and come across the Gyrosphere enclosure, the largest attraction in Jurassic World. Let's take a ride and see what species we encounter. The first thing we see is a Parasaurolophus. Not just any Parasaurolophus. These have the ability to glow in the dark thanks to their bioluminescent genes. These are referred to as Lux Paras by Dr. Wu. The following species we come across are the Myosaur. These dinosaurs were from the original Jurassic Park, but went extinct after it fell. Dr. Wu has brought them back for Jurassic World's gyrosphere enclosure. Up next, we see the Alamosaurus, which is now cohabitating with the other sauropod species in this enclosure. Finally, speaking of which, the next species we come across is the Apatosaurus. Continuing down the route, we meet the Ankylosaurus and their most famous member, Bumpy. Recognizable via the malformed head bump on her, head. Traveling down the route a little bit more, we see the Ouranosaurus, a small herbivore that resembles a duck. Going down further, we come across the Corythosaurus, another Sorna species brought back to Jurassic World. Further down, we meet the Nasutoceratops, a small ceratopsian dinosaur related to the Triceratops. We continue down the route until we've looped back around to the enclosure entrance. With that, we have seen everything in the main park, but Masrani does plan to keep expanding and adding new attractions to the park. But there's another area we must explore, the genetic testing facility. Here, Masrani and Ingen create genetically modified dinosaurs for a private military organization under the supervision of its representative, Vic Hoskins. Here, the scientists make genetic modifications to various dinosaur species they have access to, making them stronger in some areas or weaker in others. Whatever Hoskins demands, they do, whether they like it or not. As we go down the pathway, we come across two viewing towers on either side of us. We go inside the left viewing tower and we see the velociraptors. Each raptor has its own designation: Charlie, Echo, Delta, and Blue. Going into the tower on the right, we see the Pachyrhinoceros enclosure. There were originally 4 specimens, but one was killed in combat by one of the raptors. For now, it doesn't seem like Hoskins is interested in increasing the population. Nearby is the Troodon enclosure. These dinosaurs produce a toxic venom that could kill any creature within minutes. If humans were to be injected with the venom, they could hallucinate until they pass away. Going further down the path, we come across the Majungasaurus enclosure. Up next, we have the Herrerasaurus enclosure. This is another Jurassic Park species that went extinct, but was brought back to life by Dr. Wu. Finally, we have the Tarbosaurus enclosure. The Tarbosaurus is one of the strongest genetically modified dinosaurs in the facility, but the scientists have noted that it's more docile than other species, meaning it would only fight if it had to. With that, we have now truly seen everything Jurassic World has to offer. Actually, that was another lie. As it turns out, Hoskins has ordered the creation of a new dinosaur species that did not exist. That may sound confusing to you, and to be honest, it is. The scientists didn't know what Hoskins was referring to, but Dr. Henry Wu did. Hoskins wanted a new hybrid dinosaur created, one perfectly designed for combat. Dr. Wu, having learned his lesson with the Scorpius Rex back on Sorna, adamantly refused to do it. However, he caved in when Masrani pressured him to complete the task demanded by Hoskins. Dr. Wu would create this hybrid dinosaur for Hoskins, and after that, he told them they were free to release the creature at any time. Hoskins was confused by this statement, but didn't look further into it, nor did Masrani. Dr. Wu was furious beyond anything else. He created a dinosaur he didn't want. And the higher-ups he works for do not seem to understand the consequences of interfering with nature and making things that shouldn't exist. Dr. Wu confronted Masrani and told him that if he truly valued Hammond's legacy, then Masrani would have never created Jurassic World in the first place. These creatures weren't meant to be put on display, like the animals at some zoo. They're meant to live freely. Dr. Wu only realized that after Jurassic Park and the Isla Sorna incident. He accused Masrani of seeing only the monetary value of dinosaurs and of wanting money above all else. Before Masrani could reprimand Dr. Wu, along with some of his loyal scientists, they quit work at Jurassic World and evacuated the island. Masrani wasn't all too worried about Dr. Wu leaving and quickly forgot about it. He gave Hoskins the go-ahead to release the hybrid dinosaur from the Creation Lab, and so Hoskins released the Indominus Rex. The Indominus Rex, Dr. Wu's first ever successful hybrid, made up of Tyrannosaurus, Velociraptor, and other creatures like cuttlefish. This monstrosity was bred purely to be the strongest creature to have ever existed. Masrani and Hoskins were beyond excited to see this creature move. However, the fun would be cut short when suddenly a Suchomimus escaped its enclosure. We aren't sure why this specimen decided to break out at the time, but this incident would lead to Jurassic World's downfall. Irritated by alarms, the Indominus broke out of its enclosure and made a beeline for populated areas. It was eating guests left and right, and the ACU security team had to act fast. However, when they tried to ask Masrani about their orders, they found that he had already evacuated the park by helicopter. Similarly, Vic Hoskins had also evacuated, but this time taking a jeep far into the jungles of Isla Nublar. The alarms and roars of the Indominus were enough to anger nearby dinosaurs in their enclosures. As the Velociraptors broke through their enclosure walls and started causing chaos on their own, with no one to turn to, George Lambert, head of the ACU and the security division in Ingen, ordered the extermination of the Indominus Rex. Their first idea was to unleash the genetically modified Velociraptor pack on the Indominus. The raptors immediately homed in on the Indominus' location and targeted it. However, the Indominus proved to be too strong for the raptors to handle. 3 of the 4 raptors were killed, with only one survivor being Blue, who escaped into the wild. The Indominus Rex continued its rampage, killing whoever got in its way. Someone suggested the idea of sending the Tarbosaurus after it, but due to their docile nature, it seemed like they would run away rather than actually fight the Indominus. Then Lambert had a realization. They need more teeth. And so, after doing some research and reviewing the blueprints for the Indominus, Lambert ordered that Rexy, the Tyrannosaurus, be released from her enclosure. As soon as the gates were opened for her, Rexy immediately left and started tracking the Indominus, almost as if she sensed the danger coming from the dangerous hybrid. Rexy made her way down Main Street before eventually confronting the Indominus by the lagoon. Almost immediately, the 2 species began fighting, destroying anything in their way. For a moment, it looked like the 2 species were at a stalemate. Both were equal in terms of strength. At the end of the fight, both Rexy and the Indominus stared each other down, both beaten and bruised badly. Just as either one was ready to attack, oh yeah, that happened. The fight may have ended anticlimactically, but at least the terror was finally over. when morning dawned on the island, the fate of Jurassic World had already been decided. So before finally evacuating the rest of the island, George Lambert ordered all the dinosaurs to be released into the wild. The specimens that had already escaped, well, they were left alone to do whatever. There was no doubt in anyone's mind that Jurassic World, along with Masrani and Ingen, was over. Speaking of which, Simon Masrani himself was nowhere to be seen after the fall of Jurassic World. With the escaped pterosaurs, it's assumed some of them attacked his helicopter and he perished when he crash-landed somewhere on the island. The same fate can also be assumed for Vic Hoskins, who was also never seen again. We'd like to believe he was mauled to death by Blue the Raptor. Jurassic World was over, and seemingly nobody wanted to trust a dinosaur theme park ever again. There was even a small minority of people who wished the dinosaurs to live freely on the island without intervention from humanity. Sort of like what happened on Sorna. However, time will only tell, and maybe nature will offer us a solution. But knowing human greed, this solution could be seen as a tragedy, and it will be human greed that will save the dinosaurs from this so-called solution. Again, time will only tell, and deep beneath the Earth's crust, a solution was already forming.